Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the YouTube Business Academy podcast, where we talk about starting and growing faceless YouTube channels. My name is George, and today I'm joined by my co host, Ron. In this
Hello.
episode, we'll be discussing a crucial topic for anyone who wants to succeed on YouTube. That is, how to make people click on your videos. We'll be introducing the click trifecta, which includes the three most important elements for getting more clicks on your videos: the video idea, thumbnail, and title. By mastering these three elements, you can attract more viewers to your channel, grow your audience, and ultimately achieve your goals on YouTube. So, if you're ready to take your video marketing to the next level, let's dive in and learn on how to win the click. Ron,
Boom.
how are you
What
doing,
an
man?
what an intro.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
It took me a while.
Very good. Yeah, I'm doing great as always. And yeah, it's getting warmer outside, so I'm more happy. Sun is shining. What about you? How's the ice
Yeah,
plunge
man.
challenge going?
Today is day 20. I'm 66% in, and I'm loving it.
Yeah?
I'm
How, how
crushing
long
it.
how long are you in right now?
Like a minute. It's no problem. But the thing is, it's not
Okay.
about the time anymore. It's about not taking too long to get in. And second of all, like, I don't know if you've seen my videos, but I just send it. I don't take the stairs anymore. I run and I go head down, like head first,
Yeah.
just jumping in. Like the water is plus 25, but actually the water is like 2 degrees Celsius. Yeah. So
That's good.
I'm
I
like,
think that's the best, like right? Because on the if you go on like some small stairs, it's so
yeah.
slow and you're like, I
Yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah.
want
Like
to.
you're taking each step and you're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
it's cold. But when you're jumping, like that's it. Once you took off, there's no turning back. Like,
Yeah. That's the best
yeah,
approach, I think.
yeah, man. So I was putting together a presentation for an upcoming workshop that is going to happen in half an hour. Which, by the way, if you're listening or watching to this podcast, I highly encourage you to join us on Discord because we're going to be doing more of these workshops where we do like kind of dive, like a deep dive into faceless YouTube channels or just YouTube in general. And we try to gather as many resources as possible to understand like why do people click, why do people watch, and how are other big and successful YouTube channels do it, right? Because it looks really simple on the outside, but then once you start digging into it, you're like, wow, okay, they definitely know something that I don't know. So this is Ron's and my job to do a lot of research, put it all together into like a document, and then we're presenting it live and explaining it, and then taking questions from you, right, and interacting live. So trust me when I say it, no one is doing this for free like we're doing it here at the YouTube Business Academy. So if you haven't already, please join us. It's completely free, and we would love to have you there and interact with you. With that in mind, let's talk about this concept that I came up with, which is called the click trifecta. So, the click trifecta is the three most important elements to win a click on YouTube, right? Because we all know that, success on YouTube comes down to, well, a lot of factors, but two of the most important ones is to get a person to click and then to get a person to watch your video, right? So, today we're going to cover the first part of it, which is winning the click, right? So, when it comes to winning the click, the three most important elements are number one, your video idea, number two is your thumbnail, and number three is your title. So that's kind of the triangle, right? So let's start with the first one, the video idea. Ron, what do you think makes for a good video idea?
That's a very good question because everyone has their own method for it. And I think it also totally depends on what kind of niche you're in. In my opinion, in my niches, I don't like to reinvent the wheel. So I don't try to create video ideas that are totally unique, that don't have a proof of concept yet. So that's not my approach. But I look at other big channels in different kind of niches and see check their best performing videos or less like from the last couple of months, for example, and see like what's their angle of those videos, and maybe I can implement that within my niche. So that's mostly how I do it. And of course, with the the ChatGPT era, ChatGPT 4, I have it right now, and it's actually helping me as well get up with some video ideas. I told this in the podcast before. I insert some video examples that I like that did well, and I asked ChatGPT to create similar video ideas, but then focused on my audience, and I insert some uh, characteristics of my audience and interests of my audience. And sometimes it comes up with some good ideas as well. And of
Mm.
course, you need to check what's working in the past. So basically, you don't always need to have to reinvent the wheel again for your own videos. Just see at what's working.
Yeah, interesting. Um, for me, it's like there are a couple of components what makes a really good video idea. One of them is would. So there's a question, right? And like answer this question objectively. Would a lot of people be interested in watching that video? So let me give you an example. We take one video, which is like my first vlog, right? Whatever. Now, who cares about your first vlog? No one except for you, maybe your mother. Another example on a complete opposite is like last to leave circle wins $500,000. Now, that has stakes to it. That is something that is very like a big spectacle, right? It's a challenge. So that is right away super interesting. So the video idea is the most important thing. And what makes a good video idea is very difficult, right? Mr. Beast talks about his in his podcast with or in his video with Casey Neistat about how he started to realize that the video idea is the most important thing when he was like 19. And so he started like obsessing about, how to get more video ideas, like how to improve your video ideas. And really, like when we were preparing today for this workshop that I'm about to host, um, I was thinking about a title, The Psychology of YouTube. Why do people click and watch, right? Okay, sounds fine. But then I spoke to one of our members, Mihai from the community, and he was like, that will appeal to less people. And then he proposed a new title, which is, This is Why You Clicked on This Video, which could potentially be appealing to a lot more people, right? Explaining why did they click on this video, right? So that
I
is,
agree, by the way, but I do have to say something. Like,
yeah.
of course, Mr. Beast simplifies his titles and also his script, by the way, so it's understandable by even like a 5-year-old. That like it's
Mm-hmm.
very easy to understand. But for example, the title you just mentioned, it is pretty broad. But people that are not interested in the YouTube game, they probably will leave pretty soon because the
Yes.
video is not interesting. So I think you should
Yes.
need to find a nice balance by okay, you need to make it like more broad to reach more people, but also if you're more inside a niche, don't expect that you can attract everybody because that's
Yes.
just not your niche, you know.
Yes. 100%. 100%. Um, so yeah, be as broad as possible, but stay within your niche
Yeah, exactly.
and brainstorm different video ideas and think like, does this sound simple enough for everyone to understand, or am I overcomplicating it? And the more you do it, the more you test it, the better you're going to get at creating these video ideas. And the second question that you should probably ask yourself is, this is kind of the second question, is your video worth being watched in general, right? So let's say that you figured out how to, come up with amazing video ideas. Now the second part, and that is more about like the video production and the storyline, is your video being worth watched, right? So if the video appeals to a lot of people and it's worth for someone to spend 10 minutes of their time to watch a video, like maybe it's entertaining or maybe it's very informational or inspirational or whatever it is, right? You are going to be well on your way to grow on this platform, our beloved platform called YouTube. All right. The second element of the click trifecta is the thumbnail.
Yeah,
What makes for a good thumbnail?
Very important, and also very difficult because you can go so many ways. You can create
That's
so
true.
many thumbnails for every kind of video. Yeah,
And I also feel like the thumbnails are always evolving. Like they as because YouTube is this like living thing, right? And the culture inside of YouTube changes. And as the
yeah,
culture changes and the user interface changes, so do the thumbnails.
yeah, and of course, like I know the Rayan Trahan, that guy with the 1 penny challenge. His thumbnail got like used by so many people, like on the grass. He has you thumbnail on the grass, I think, and his face, and he
Yeah.
was holding a coin, I think.
Yeah.
So many people use that concept. I saw it on Twitter, like so many videos. And of course, if it works, why not? But you can indeed see that people are like adapting it really quick because it works probably. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think people will also get sick of it pretty quickly because so many people are copying it.
Yeah. Did you listen to that Colin and Samir podcast about or video that they did about copy paste culture on YouTube?
Yeah, think I watched a small piece. Yeah,
Yeah. And they were interviewing the guy who wrote a book, Steal Like an Artist. Super interesting.
yeah. It's. I think it's good to get inspiration from people, but copying one on one, I think, is not the way you should go.
Yeah.
You need to get your own because like you also want to stand out from the rest. So I
Mm,
think if you stand out from the rest, you'll also be um, you will probably get more views as well because you're not just like 10 other channels. So I think it's a
yeah.
nice balance of maybe getting some elements from other people that work well and still implementing your own branding maybe and your own ideas, and from there yeah, just try new things.
Yeah. What I really liked that they were talking about, and this author, I forgot his name, who wrote the book Steal Like an Artist, he was talking about how, like, nothing is really unique or original, right? Whatever your ideas you have are, a combination of all of the things that you were inputted into you throughout your life, right? And so the difference between like thefts and originality, or like stealing an artist, is like just blindly, like bluntly copying someone and just putting your face there, for example, like with the Ryan Trahan thumbnail. That's kind of like, okay, you just copy and paste it. But if you take, for example, that inspiration, then you take something else, and then you're like, you know what, like, I'm missing this one thing that I would really like to have. That is when your creativity takes like steps in. When you think that, why has no one done this before, and you do it yourself, and now that is something that is original and creative and has the chance of being interested to a lot of people. Because the people who are trailblazers in life, they take risks, and they are not afraid to innovate and to be creative and try new things, right? New concepts. For example, the thumbnail that I put together today for the workshop is just like white background, my face, and then three elements like a brain emoji plus YouTube logo equals a money bag, right? So like, I thought it would like looked really nice, and ever since I was a kid, I remember we had like art class, and the teacher, so we could like draw anything, right? And ever since I was a kid, I really liked white, so I would leave a lot of white, and I would do it like really minimalistic and very abstract. And then I remember, like, I'm traumatized for life. He came up to me and he was like, "There is too much white in this painting. You should fill it in with color." And I remember thinking to myself as a kid, "What? No, I like it. I like white. I like that there's white space, and like there's like it's very minimalistic." So yeah, don't be afraid to like try and experiment with the concepts that you have, but
yeah, and
also
yeah.
look what works. Go ahead.
Exactly. But also the thing is, like, if you're maybe having a more minimalistic thumbnail, like the last 2-3 years, people have taken thumbnails like really to the next level. Like we are working with some thumbnail designers and like crazy coloring and like, I don't know, it's like a lot of layers and I don't know. But
Yeah.
maybe having a more simple thumbnail will make you stand out of the rest as well, because everyone is like trying hard, and you're just like there, like with white space, for example, you pop more, and they're like, oh, that one is not so doesn't look so special. Like you will stand out. People will probably watch your title faster and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, I think.
People very quickly get used to you know the things that are just like regular, and if you're copying someone else, you're just becoming the regular thing. And so when people see that same thumbnail concept in their feed, they're, yeah, sure, probably in the beginning of the trend of that thumbnail trend, they're likely to click, but after a while it probably gets saturated. So by doing something unique and creative, that's a pattern interrupt. And if that thumbnail gets shown, they're like, whoa, what is this? I haven't seen this concept yet.
Exactly.
Now, the third element is the title. So we have the
Yeah.
video idea, which is the overall thing, right? What is your video about? Then we have the thumbnail, which is the visual thing, right? Which, in my opinion, is probably even more important than the title. And then the last thing, but they're all related, right? So it's a triangle, is the title, right? So your title should be together with the thumbnail, creating a curiosity gap to get a person to ask, or not to ask, but to get them to like click and almost be like irresistible not to click it.
Yeah. And it's for me it's quite difficult still, because
Yes.
same with the thumbnail, you have so many options to choose from. And like some titles, like they look simple, but they're like they're not simple, to come up with
Mm-hmm.
them. Like for example, a while ago, I don't know which one we found, like I think it was in the last workshop, and it was like 5 words. I think it was from Sony V2. It had 5 words, but it covered so much emotion and load to it, and it made you so curious. I don't know the title anymore.
I remember
um,
that one. We talked
maybe i
about it. Yeah.
maybe I can quickly find it. um, but like the title is maybe 5 words or 6 words. You think like, oh, that's a short title, must be very easy to come up with, but it's
Yeah.
so difficult.
Yeah. It was something like why I'm never or something like this. And I remember because I was breaking down, and it was so specific because each word had a specific purpose in that title.
Oh, it was Moon, I think, not Sony
Yeah.
V2.
Yeah. I think it was moon. And it was like so specific. Like each word had a purpose in those like 5 words. And you knew exactly what's going to be. Why I'm never watching, or why I'm never trusting, or why I'm never buying, or something like this, I think.
Yeah, it is something
But
like this.
now while you're looking for it, let me quickly say one thing about the title and the thumbnail. So title and thumbnail, they're not two separate things, right? All of the things that we're talking about, they're all interrelated, okay? And your title should be complementary to your thumbnail, right? One should complement the other. So when a person sees a thumbnail, then he reads the title, and then they should click. You know what I mean? So you shouldn't just repeat exactly in your thumbnail what you did in the title, or vice versa. It should be that you have one and then you have the other. Like I'm not really like explaining this well right now, but it should create a curiosity gap basically, and the title should complement the thumbnail. Like I don't
Yeah,
know
and
how, like what else to add
yeah,
to that.
yeah, and but you should not. By the way, I couldn't find the title. Was it ChatGPT scares me? Here's why. That maybe. That
Maybe something like that.
never mind. But like with the thumbnail and title, it's also you need to like gain the skill to also not like what you say in the title. You should not like you don't have to show it in the thumbnail as well. Like the
Yeah.
title and thumbnail can be like separate, but when they're combined together, it's like, oh, now it makes total sense. So yeah, it's difficult to explain, but you know what I mean. Like the thumbnail needs to have different elements than the title, which can make you just a little bit more curious than just reading the title, or the other way
Yes.
around.
We're not finding good words right now to
No.
explain what we mean. But the idea is that they see the thumbnail first because we're more visual. Like, seeing an image is, we're much faster at that. And then we read, right? And so the reading part should reaffirm us that what we saw visually is something that we actually want to watch. And like you said, it shouldn't be the same thing, So maybe you have some kind of a visual cue in the thumbnail, and then you have a very catchy title. So I don't have really an example right now from the top of my head, because thumbnails are visual, so it's a bit hard to explain them. But let's say, for example, like I just opened YouTube, right? And there is this guy. He has a channel called I Did a Thing. Okay. He posted a video 4 days ago and he has 6.2 million views on that video. And in the thumbnail, he's like in the garden. Okay. He has two pressure washers in his hands, right? Blowing out water, and he's kind of levitating. Okay. So imagine that. Now he's dressed like a gardener. He has two pressure washers pointing down to the floor. They are blasting water and lifting him up, so he's levitating, right? And now the title is, how many pressure washers does it take to fly? That is really good, right? Because you're seeing it, you're like, whoa, he's really levitating with pressure washers. And then the title is, how many pressure washers does it take to fly? So you want to find out how many does it take to fly. So that's why you click, and you're thinking, does he really, like, the first question I have is that, did he really manage to fly with pressure washers? And then you click, and then you find out. That's why he has 6.2 million views in 4
that's
days.
basically the whole curiosity thing. You place a question in the viewer's mind, and then they're like, okay, I want to know the answer. The only way to know the answer is to watch the video.
Yeah.
And the best way is it needs to be such a question that they're like, what the hell is this? I really need to know this. So like the pressure washer thing, nobody probably thought about it. But when they read the title and saw the thumbnail, they're like, hey, that's actually pretty interesting and fun to know about. And they click.
Exactly. I think next episode we will talk about the second part of this series, which is how to get someone to watch your video. So right now we talked about how to click. And by the way, this is the beginning, right? And we're just covering the surface level here. There's so much more that we can talk about, different psychological biases, and we can go infinitely deep into, what gets someone to click and curious. But then the second part of it is also going to be what gets someone to watch, which I'll give you a hint is storytelling. So how do you become a better storyteller? How do you tell better stories? What makes a good story? Protagonist arcs, the 3-step of a story, and we'll be breaking all of that down. So if this is something that you're enjoying, you're liking, make sure to subscribe, join our free community. And with that in mind, we will see you in the next one. Thank you.
Bye-bye.